Okay, so good afternoon, everyone.
Do you want to know? Well,
One. So for this week, we'll have health. Okay, we have here the topic family health for the first quarter. Okay, we have here the lesson objectives. Um, these are based on the most essential learning competencies. We have the first one discusses basic terms in sexuality as an important component of one's personality. Number two explains the dimensions of human sexuality. Okay, we have here gender and sexuality. So what do you mean by gender and what do you mean by sexuality? Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, we have here adolescence. So adolescence is a period when a person undergoes a lot of changes. So be it physical, emotional. Primarily teenagers experience physical changes that are very observable, and some physiological changes may also be observed such as the onset of menstruation for the female and the development of bold voice for the male. So you might have observed that some of the children aged from 10 below, you have observed the voice of the boys, which are a little bit and thin. But when they reach the age of, I think, 13 and above, their voice will change. And they to um, you know, grow their Adam's apple. So you will observe that one. So for the boys. So for the girls also, they'll have their menstruation. Okay. This period may bring about many issues that teenagers might um, thought of things that changes them. So there are things maybe emotional, mga mood swing, and their reactions or attitudes toward this issues might have a great impact to their lives. So one of these issues is the sexuality. Okay, any person who passes your age has the same experience as yours. So this stage is called adolescence or adolescent period, the stage in life when many physical and emotional changes take place in a young person's life. Okay, human sexuality may be defined as the measure of maleness and femaleness in one's individuality and physical makeup. So, the way you behave, how you express yourself, and how you act and interact with all the things around you, including your own body, are determined and affected by your sexuality. Okay, sexuality is something that is biological and natural. So, right from the moment an individual is formed during fertilization to the time of birth, and as he or she grows up, sexuality is a major part of his or her personality. So, sexuality, this is the biological identity of an individual. Okay, so we have it here. Sex refers to the biological characteristics of being a boy or a girl as evidenced by the external internal reproductive parts. So it is determined right away the time of the fertilization as the chromosomes inherited from the mother and father combine. Genetically, a male or a boy has X and Y chromosomes. So remember that one. While the female or a girl has two X chromosomes or XX. Thus, a male may be symbolized as XY and a female as XX. Okay, sex also refers to the body functions or physiological characteristics of a person associated with his or her reproductive system. So, sexuality, it refers to the biological identification. Let's go to the gender. So, gender refers to the behavior and attitudes that are expected to be shown based on a person's sex. It also refers to the roles and activities that are exhibited by a person as um, an appropriate or proper view from the society. So this is the preference. When we say gender, this is the preference of your identification. So femininity may be shown in attitudes and gestures, and masculinity may be shown in attire or get up. So this is your choice of your identification. So this is the difference um, between the gender and sexuality. Okay, why is sexuality an important component of your personality? So sexuality is an important component of your personality because it determines or defines who you are. It allows you to easily list down your choices. It affects what you want to be in the future, and it is a big factor that influences you in making your decisions in life. Okay, we have also dimensions of human sexuality. So, this is an integration of three dimensions with the biological, psychological, and socio-cultural. Understanding each of these will help you understand yourself better. So, the biological dimension. This dimension is described by a person's biological or physical sexual characteristics such as controlled by the sex chromosomes and hormones produced by the sexual glands. So as mentioned, the female has XX chromosomes and male has YX chromosomes. So the chromosomes carry the genetic material or the DNA or the deoxyribonucleic acid. The DNA determines all the traits and characteristics of all living things. A human being has 46 chromosomes in every nucleus of the cell. Two chromosomes are sex chromosomes. So we have the XX and XY, which are responsible for all our sex characteristics, being a female or a male, while the remaining 44 chromosomes are responsible for all other characteristics that we have which are not related to sexuality. So we have it here, an illustration of the chromosomes. Okay, hormones play an important role in the expression of all physical and physiological sexual characteristics of a person. As triggered by the hypothalamus that is located at the middle of the brain, the pituitary gland produces luteinizing hormones or LH and follicle stimulating hormones or FSH. Luteinizing hormone is responsible for production of sex hormones, testosterone and estrogen. Testosterone regulates the production of sperm cells and the occurrence of cells and the occurrence of secondary sex characteristics in females. So, the follicle stimulating hormone, on the other hand, triggers the egg cell to mature in the ovary. Okay, so we have here for the biological aspect for the male reproductive parts. So you have it there. We have testes or testicles, epididymis, vas deferens, penis, urethra, prostate gland, seminal vesicle, and scrotum. Okay, that we have there the illustration of the male reproductive system. For the female reproductive parts, we have vagina, cervix, uterus, oviducts, fallopian tubes, or oviducts, and we have the ovaries. Okay, an illustration of the female reproductive system. Okay, decision that a person makes on matters relating to sexuality or sexual activities of a person are greatly influenced by the person's education on human reproductive system. Most people who have proper education in parts and functions of the reproductive system tend to be more cautious in their sexual activities. So it is more important to emphasize that the main purpose of the human reproductive system of procreation or continuation of human life. The female's ovaries produce egg cells and the male's testes produce sperm cells. When the sperm cell fertilizes egg cells, a zygote is formed. It is a form of a new life or human being. So we have here the second dimension, we have the psychological dimension. Okay, this is more on the mental aspects, on your choices, or more of your the emotional. Okay, are you enjoying being a girl? Are you happy being a boy? When you go in front of the mirror, you have and look closely at yourself. Do you like what you see? If your answer is yes, then it is good sign of being positive about your own sexuality. If you like what you see in the mirror, you have a positive body image. Accepting whether you are a girl or a boy, appreciating your physical characteristics affect sexual health. So, as other would say, it's all in the mind. Whatever you think about yourself will be shown in your behavior or attitude. Positive body image gives you high self esteem. It means you are very sure of yourself in everything you do. In all your choices and show an overall wellness, you show confidence in mingling and talking to other people, even with the opposite sex. Okay, but if you think negatively of yourself, you often feel inferior to others, indecisive, always conscious if you are doing the right thing or not. You tend to be antisocial, to shy away from people, and would always want to be left alone. Having the feeling of insecurity, persons with negative body image tend to do things that may eventually damage them, like improper use of drugs as part of their diet program in order to have an ideal body. So insecurity may also lead to some psychological disorders like anorexia and bulimia nervosa. Anorexia nervosa is a psychological condition. Those who suffer from it always think that they are fat and refrain from eating. Eventually, they become very thin and lose the appetite to eat. This condition can lead to death because their bodies are already rejecting the food they eat. Bulimia, on the other hand, is also a psychological eating disorder wherein the bulimic persons would eat food that they want to eat but induce themselves to vomiting after eating by forcing the food out from the throat. So this condition damages parts of the digestive system, especially the pharynx or throat and the esophagus. Persons with a positive body image and a sound mind usually enjoy their sexuality and have a good social relationship with others. Persons with negative body image and insecurity end up being unhappy and with failing sexual relationships. The third one, we have the socio-cultural dimension. So how do you react when you hear the word sex? Do you join your peers when you hear them talk about reproductive system? Okay, EU answer to these questions may depend on your social and cultural influences. The people surrounding you greatly contribute to your sexuality. These include your family, school, and people from your neighborhood. Different countries have different culture even when it comes to sexuality. Different countries have their own standards and norms in their sexual practices. Moreover, some countries may have different tribes or ethnic groups that follow their own traditions and practices involving sexual behaviors and practices. So these three dimensions, biological, psychological, and sociocultural, the integrated factors that influence one's decision or way of thinking relating to sexuality. Okay, I think that's all. Um, we have discussed now the difference between gender and sexuality. So when we say gender, this is your preference, whether you are on the femininity or masculinity. If you're going to say um, sexuality, this is the biological aspect of your body, whether you are a boy or a girl. Okay, so that's it. And we have determined that for the male chromosomes, we have XX, XY. Then we have, for the female chromosomes, we have XX. Then we have the dimensions. We have the three dimensions, which are the biological dimension, the psychological, and the sociocultural. So when we say biological, this is the nature. This is the natural makeup of our body. So when we say psychological, this is more on the mental processes, the interpretation, more in the emotional. Sociocultural, these are the surrounding influence. These are the things that contribute to your identity. So this is the community. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you for listening. God bless on your activities and bye bye.
Do you want to know?